حي على الفلاح.
The big thing for us to remember is that, brothers and sisters, the life that we've got today, the family life that we've got today, is very, very different from yesterday. Very, very different from yesterday. And the difference is, my brothers, is that if we are not careful by understanding the new generation, we are going to get into a position where we're going to lose ourselves with the generation. Now, there's a balance between the two. One is to understand the generation, and there's a balance between how to control the generation. Now, controlling and being able to be in charge, brothers, there's a price to pay. And mothers who are listening to this, there's a price to pay. If you don't understand them, if you don't understand the new generation, there's a price to pay. There's a price you're going to pay. And if you don't know how exactly where to balance in terms of controlling them, there's a price you're going to pay. Either you're going to be too lenient with them, or you're going to get too tough with them. There's a price to pay on both sides. Because these are not sons of Punjab. These are not sons and daughters of Sylhet. These are not sons of Karachi. These are sons of London. These are a different breed. The first big mistake is not to actually communicate with them or understand them. And the second big mistake is to get it wrong when you control them. And I'll tell you one mistake before this. I'm going to come to this again. The one before that is, you know, this whole generation here, most of you have got black hair, black beards. You are a different breed from your parents. And your parents, they're a different breed from your grandparents. And your grandparents, they're a different breed from your great-grandparents. Every generation that comes, you have to accept it that they're going to be different. Now, why am I saying this? I remember there was a person who came and he complained to my Shaykh about family life. And he was complaining about his son. And my Shaykh said, just accept it. The age you lived in, the era you lived in, that era has gone. This era that he's living in, it's a new era. You have to accept that mentally. Where most parents get it wrong is where? Is that they base everything on their age, on their era. Now come on, if I lived on farmlands and I grew up, and suddenly I got a visa and I came to this country, and I worked very hard through toiling through all these different factories, and I made my money. And then after that I basically got enough to do what I wanted to, and I went back home and I built whatever I had to do, build at home. These kids, they've gone through a whole schooling system that I'd probably never even seen, never even knew of. They're not in this toil, hardship of factory work and all that. They never even went through that. They're going to work in different places, different shops. They're going to have university and fees and things that I've never even dreamt of. If I was from the old generation. So my Shaykh said, look, you've got to accept it's a different era. Now that era that we had before, there was a lot more arranged marriages. Even today you've got arranged marriage, which is fine. But remember, brothers and remember, sisters, that with arranged marriages, there's a balance. You better get it right. The balance is that, okay, fine, you're trying to arrange them, but you're trying to find the best compatibility between two people. Don't arrange it and then push them forward, shove them forward and say, inshallah. Say yes, it'll be alright. What do you understand? Their understanding is limited. Fine. Your experience is much greater, but there's a balance. Don't break it. If it's arranged marriages where in the end both of them are really happy, alhamdulillah, go forward. No one said nothing wrong with that. But if they really don't know each other, especially when you don't even know them, you know what I find really funny is that within many of these arranged marriages, the to-be groom's father and to-be bride's father, they know each other. They really like each other. They're friends and they're pals. And he says, my daughter, your son, how wonderful it will be. And these two are pals. They get on with each other. If there was an arranged marriage between these two fathers, alhamdulillah, we'll be fine. But listen guys, you two are not getting married. Or there's two sisters, two aunties we've got. They love each other. Phone after phone, they're loving it. Oh, meri beti or tumhara beta to bas thoda shadi karao bas. Now what do you know about her beti and what do you know about her beta? You don't know nothing. They're from a different generation, you don't even understand their language. And even when with their attitudes and all of that, you don't even understand that. And not only that, you only know their performance. This is the biggest mistake any marriage can go wrong, is that you base things on performance and not on character. Brothers, what you're seeing of me right now, it's my performance. You know, how do you know how I am in my private life? And I'm thinking you're the same. Look at you, mashallah, all of you sitting nice and mashallah, not a single person speaking, mashallah. That's how they must be when they go home, isn't it? What do you know? What do we know about who's who? Performance is when you do what you do when you need to put it on. And most people, in fact almost 100% of people, when they come into marriage, they will put a performance on. And performance can be a daily routine. You know, daily people go to work 9 to 5. 8 hours a day there are people who put performance on. The guy goes to work, goes, hi Andrew, hi man, you alright? Yeah, good day man, Smiling, he's smiling. He goes to work, suited, booted, got nice perfume on, smiling all the time, and he's been trained to do this. He's trained to pick up the phone. You talk to the guy in his office, how he conducts with everyone else, performance. The guys who come in the masjid, performance. He's always smiling in the masjid. The character you haven't got to know yet. The character is when the man is, or the woman is her normal self. 9 to 5 work, performance, and comes home, and then what he does home to himself, that is his character. When he's comfortable with who he really is and he displays that, that's his character. And the same with people who come to masjid. There are people who come to masjid and they do all of that, and when they go home, they don't even speak to the family members properly. MashaAllah, the man, he's got a white beard, and his beard is coming up to his belly. And he's always 5 times a day in the masjid. On a Saturday night, if you want to know where he is, he's standing in a queue, and that queue he's waiting to buy a ticket, and that ticket he's trying to buy on the Saturday night religiously, which he's doing every single week, is a lottery ticket. I'm not saying they all do this, but this is now character versus performance. You go to the guy, same guy in the masjid, says, Astaghfirullah ji, he'll give you a lecture on it. The guy will give you a lecture on it. And he himself, he goes and does this. Character and performance, don't mix the two. That's why when Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, when he was asked about a certain person, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, do you know the person that you're going to do business with? He said, I know him well. He said, do you know him? He said, I know him. He said, how do you know him? He said, I just know him. He said, no, you don't know him. Have you had good transactions with him? He said, no. He said, have you lived as neighbors with him? He said, no. Have you traveled with him? He said, no. He said, then you do not know him. These 3 things reveal character. Traveling with somebody. Because when you're traveling with somebody, they can't carry on putting on the performance on. You're someone to a long journey, yeah? Umrah, Hajj, whatever, yeah? You know, you can see the frustration coming out after a little while, and the more longer you spend with them, the more of the character comes out. If you are neighbors, someone's neighbor, and if you know them as neighbors, okay, and either trading with someone, you know, when you've traded with someone on a long-term basis, and you've done money, trading, having promises, whether they keep the promise, whether they don't keep the promise, all these things add up to what? Add up to you knowing what their actual character is. So why I'm saying this, brothers and sisters who are listening, is that when our parents got married, one thing that perhaps might have happened is they might have gone through some of this, where they probably never knew each other. When I'm going through marriage, when a recent marriage has happened, maybe it hasn't worked out, whatever it was, with knowing the person. But what's the next thing to do? Is that remember that love is something that you cannot teach in a classroom. Love is something which you have to experience. If I ask you, what is love right now? What's the definition of love? You're going to say, well, you just like them. What does that mean? Likes is something that they might have their interest in that thing. They kind of like it, but love is something different. And love is something that comes from the heart. Love is not something which you do with the mind. Most of these people who are getting together without knowing each other, and getting together in a life that is really serious, they're probably basing it on their minds, not on their hearts. And whatever has happened, my brothers and my sisters, to have a family who loves each other, you have to give them love in the first place. They have to experience love. So, I don't care what's happened in your past. I haven't got time to go through this for 2-3 hours. But what I want to say to you, brothers and sisters, is whatever has happened to our past, from today's talk here, you're going to put the past behind. And what you're going to do is, you're going to try and give and show and demonstrate love. If you demonstrate love, you get love back. And some people, they go into, some people, a lot of people do this. They have different characters for different places. So for work, they have one character. For home, they have another character. And it switches with family members. It switches with friends. With one generation talks one way, with another generation talks another way. Now what's important to understand here is, why is he doing this? If he's doing it to keep the peace, that's fine. But if he's doing it because he doesn't have love, he only gives it where he's got his own matlab, where he's got his own need. There's this new generation growing up. I'm not saying the whole generation like this, but the environment and the things that we've got and we've had, especially this generation right now in front of us. I'm not talking about just the young kids here. I'm talking about the 20-year-olds and the 30-year-olds. We've lived a very selfish community, in a very selfish life. When family members together in the same household, and they're all on different networks and computers and phones and technologies, it's selfishness. When family members come together to the table, that's not selfishness. That's now a family unit. When families eat together, that's a family unit. When families do jama'ah together, if they're not going to the masjid, they do jama'ah together, that's unity. When families together, they will make mashwara. They will make, even in the household, to consult one another, to give one another that right to say what the opinion is. Okay, the father's going to be the one who decides. That is unity, that is consultation, that is getting together. But when one member says, no, I'm going to do how I like, I don't care, and he's not taking any opinion from any of the other rest of the family, then that's selfishness that has been created. Love is something which you have to share. The first love is the parents have to demonstrate to their children that the parents are loving one another. They love one another as individuals. If the love, my friend, this society, this new generation has been taught, experienced, love is to do with the skin. Love is to do with beauty. Love is to do with an extremely beautiful woman or an extremely beautiful man. That's what love is. Love is your shahwa and your passions. If that is love, the moment the skin is old or not the same young skin, the moment the beauty has gone, that's when that love is going to diminish as well. That is not love, brothers and sisters. This whole Western society teaches you that. Love is what you like, what you kind of find good for yourself. This is what I call the matlabuddin, meaning that they're people of their own thing. Where they like something, where their own objective is, where their own ambition is, where their own goal is, where their own hobbies are, they will like it and they will go for it. But where their own thing is not there, they don't care. That is not love. Love is something where you experience it together and you give and you share with one another love. Now we're talking about family life here and love in the family life. Number one is that the parents have to demonstrate and they have to show one another love, and not only that, they have to show it in front of the children. The children have to understand how, and there's going to be circumstances where the parents have got a difference of opinion. There's going to be circumstances where one falls out temporarily with another one, or is not talking to, or not wanting to have, that lovely conversation. But it's how you conduct yourself. Brothers and sisters, if at that moment the parents get really angry, if they're shouting at one another, if they don't care, this is now they're showing their children, this is how you sort your problems out. The one who shouts the loudest wins the argument. Are you teaching them that? The one who can be upset and not talk to the other individual the longest period of time wins the argument. If you're going to start showing that, then your children, without any teaching, they would have picked that up. And if what I'm teaching is afu, If I'm teaching forgiveness, then forgiveness is taught by demonstrating forgiveness. It's not taught through a lecture. My brothers, my sisters, what I'm saying to you is that in the household, you can be a dad and you can be a mom, you can be a brother, you can be an older person, and you can say, look, we must forgive one another, we must do this, and you can give as many lectures as you want. But the best teaching in the house was how the elders demonstrated it. And if they demonstrated forgiveness, if they demonstrated forgive and forget, if they demonstrated let go of these things, if they demonstrated that we're not going to brood over things, we're not going to go into a horrible mood, if they demonstrated that, then the children automatically will pick that up. I've seen families where the son is a compulsive liar. And he's what? He's in his mid-30s. I'm talking about current situation. He's even part of, running the masjid. But then I thought to myself, well, hang on a minute, where did this all happen from? How did this kid grow up? And after having dealings with his father, I understood that his father does exactly the same thing. His father is also a liar. When he wants to lie, he will lie. Because he grew up in that household, traits automatically passed down. And now I'm looking at his kids, that man's kids who's in his 30s, and I can see his kids are living a selfish life. My brothers, my sisters, giving your family whatever they want, whenever they want, is not love. Giving presents is good, but just giving him a present, buying him Eid presents, and buying him that's not love. If you're making that mistake, you're making a big mistake. This is happiness, it's not love. This is showing them that you like them on this occasion, but this is not love. Love is when they know from their heart that this person, he really, really cares about me and my whereabouts. That is love. So the balance here is, that thing I said to you earlier on, about control. If you understand a person, if you understand them properly, you can understand what age they are. You can relate to them to that age. And this is another thing I want to say to you, brothers and sisters, please remember this. Is that please don't base your child's life, your young one's life, according to your life right now. No. Put your hands up here if when you were a child, you came to a social gathering or a masjid or somewhere and you never ran around. Who's the firishta here? Who's the angel here? Is there a kid who's going to be 7, who's going to be 6, who's going to be young, 5 years old? The younger it is, the more they're going to start running around. Is there a kid that will not do that? So why is it that when a kid does that in the masjid, kids shouldn't run around, they shouldn't be doing this, what kind of thing is this? When we were small, we never used to do that. But what you've got to understand, my friend, is you've had 50 years of experience. If you are 50 years old and still running around in the masjid, we'll say you have to go to a mental hospital. But come on, let's base it on what the age is. But also, my friends, a 10-year-old, 20-year-old needs to understand and have respect for his 50-year-old and 40-year-old. You have to do both ways. I'm not saying one way here. There are parents who don't understand the children, there are children who don't understand the parents. Number one rule that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said what? He said, whosoever doesn't have mercy on our young ones, and whoever doesn't recognize the burden on our elders and respect them for it, then they are not from us. Both generations have to understand each other. The biggest problem we're facing here is there are completely different fragmentations where they can't at all understand one another. And because they can't understand one another, the next thing is the controlling element gets wrong. Either they become too liberal or they become too hard, like I said earlier. And either one you go towards, you will break the ties and you will break the relationship. And the mahabba and the love cannot pass on if you don't understand the generation. A lot of families, the mother's too lenient because the father's too strict. My wife the other day, she wasn't listening to me. I told her, she said, get out of here. Macho man. And his wife's gone to the other extreme. She wants to hide every fault her kid is doing at home. And she's bending every rule and at the same time making the curries even nicer. So he doesn't ever question anything. And he probably knows it or doesn't know it, or he doesn't want to even know about it. I know families where the father comes 5 times to the masjid, and the mother behind his back will allow the daughters to wear makeup and to leave the house, to take the hijab off and leave the house, because she feels that they're missing out. So she's gone to one extreme and he's gone to another extreme, where if he ever finds out, it's going to be the end of everything. My brothers, my sisters, you want to get a family together? The heads of the families, they have to communicate. They have to put their principles down. They have to say, what is it that we want out of our kids? And before our kids, what is it that me and you are going to do? What is my life based on? What's your life based on? It's very important, brothers. Very important, because Allah Azza wa Jalla has told us that if you want to be a person who is noble in the sight of Allah, you have to have taqwa. And taqwa is not based on my nafs. Number one is I as the father of the family. Number two is she as the mother of the family. Both of us have to submit to Allah Azza wa Jal. I'm not going to do anything wrong to you that is wrong in the sight of Allah and His Messenger. You're not going to do anything wrong to me which is wrong in the sight of Allah and His Messenger. Let's make that the rule. I'm not going to miss my salah because that is wrong in the sight of Allah. You're not going to miss your salah. I'm not going to make my life based upon a worldly life, and you're not going to do that. Our life is going to be based on the akhirah. So therefore, if it's based on the akhirah, I'm going to spend time with Allah and His Messenger. How? Through the Quran and through the Sunnah, I'm going to spend my time. And you're going to do that, my wife. Both of us have to submit to what? To the law of Allah. That's the first thing. Any imam will know this. They come to you when the kids are 16, 17, and then they'll say to you, Imam Sahib, make dua please. My son, he's not listening to me. Imam Sahib, have you got something I can take home, maybe blow on him? You know? Now the thing is, somebody came to Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab the same way, and he said, my son doesn't listen to me. So Sayyidina Umar said, bring your son. See, this is an imam. He said, bring your son. An imam should not ever deal with the case without listening to both sides and giving them a good say. So the son explained what's happening in his life, how his father is with him. And then Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, he commented to the father. And he said to the father, he said, you have neglected him while he was young, and now he's neglecting you while you're old. And he got to understand what's in the mind and the heart of the son. And he saw that the father had neglected him. 16 years of life, and now the son doesn't want to listen to his father. Well, of course, you give him selfish attitudes for 16 years of life, for 17, 18 years. You don't care about your own wife, his mother. That's why when Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned your family life in the Quran, He didn't say that your wives have to breastfeed your children. He didn't say that. He said that the mothers, the link Allah put there, they will breastfeed their children. Allah has said what? That they are now mothers. They are not your wives anymore. They've got a maqam, they've got a respect, they've got a status in the family. In terms of even the virtues of the children towards them, the mothers come first, and the mothers come second, and the mothers come third, and then you come next. Allahu Akbar, that's the status of the mother. She has that status. So now you can't treat her just as your wife, you have to treat her as a mother to your children. See, most people when they get married, they don't even ask this question. She's going to be a beautiful wife. But they don't think about a beautiful mother. How caring mother she's going to be. How much love can she give. That's why when Rasulullah ﷺ talked about marriage, he said what? Marry those women who can give children, yes, but wadud, who have a lot of love in themselves. A lot of compassion. If a mother has a lot of unconditional love for her children will grow up with that love. That's where the family life and the unit and the bond will all come. But if the mother can't give that, and the father doesn't give that, and the father doesn't control that, and they've had years of living like this, then subhanallah, don't complain. Don't complain to your imam how your household is. Your household is how you shaped it. When I spend time with my TV, one person spends time with the cooker, that becomes 3 hours, getting everything right, watching the movie properly, not missing a single minute, pausing it when you have to go to the toilet. He's taking full dedication towards it. But when it comes to my salah, there's neglect. When it comes to my salah, there's quickness. Quick salah. The children are watching this. Demonstration of Islam is in front of their eyes. They know which one you have love for. Do you have love for this world, or do you have more love for the next world? They're making their mind up. And no one's teaching them this. You are demonstrating it to them. If years and years go by, they will have already seen when problems come, what does my father do when a problem comes? When my problem comes, do I get stressed out? Now everyone's got problems. If you haven't got a problem, you're a human being who's mature and you haven't got a problem, then you are an insane person because you don't even know what your problem is. But the thing is, the children are watching you to see how you deal with the problems. Do you come home stressed and take it out on your wife? There are guys who get stressed outside and they come home, they take it out on their wives. There are women who get stressed outside, they come home, they take it out on their husbands. These people didn't base it on Allah and His Messenger. These people based it on their soul, their nafs, they're people of nafs, the people of selfishness. How do you make crime in your own beloved house? Your beloved wife, your beloved husband, Allahu Akbar. The person who loves you, the person who's married you, the person who wants to spend a lifetime with you, that person's supposed to console you, and you're not supposed to bring that stress out in front of her or in front of him. It's wrong, it's a crime. And how many houses and how many fathers and how many mothers in front of the children are doing this? The guy's stressed because of work, the guy's stressed because of business, the guy's stressed because of masjid politics. The guy's stressed because of societal politics. Woman's stressed because of what's happening in her life, what other women are saying, something happened, some failure happened, whatever it was, whatever it is. What should you have done? You should have basically put tawakkaltu ala Allah. I have depended on Allah. My children should see me making longer du'as. My children should see me praying more nawafil. My children should see me, yes, I have got gham, I've got a worry. But my worry is with Allah. My worry is when I speak to my wife as well about my worry, I talk to her calmly. I don't make her the victim of my worries. I don't take it out on her. I'm not snapping. I'm not shouting. I'm not becoming moody. I'm not becoming grumpy. I'm not cornering myself in the house. You come home, you can talk to your wife. A wife comes, she can talk to her husband. But you talk together. You two people love each other. So don't bring the problems outside, inside, and create another problem for yourself. Children are watching and they're learning. They're hearing, they're learning. They've seen it, they're learning. Because that's telling them how to react in their situations. When you have kids who have grown up and they're 18 and 19 and brothers and sisters who are not talking to each other, I blame the whole family unit from top first to the bottom. I don't just look at those 18-year-olds and 17, they don't suddenly change. Unless they spend 4 or 5 years outside in a university, they weren't even home. Yes, that can change them. An environment changes people. Brothers and sisters, please remember, the environment is the most important thing after one another. We create that environment. What does a club tell you? A club tells you to go there and dance, and to be socialized and whatever. Every environment tells you something different. What does the environment of your house say? Does your house mean to your children that I come home, put my feet up, watch whatever I want? If you've made that environment, they will fit in that environment. But as my children are growing up, I have to demonstrate what the environment should be. Me and my wife have to do that. And not only that, but remember there's a different generation here and we have to understand them and get them to communicate. I have to talk to them, spend time with them. My brothers, knowledge of something is one thing and recognition is another. I can know you, but I may not really recognize you. There's two things. I've said salam to you. I know you. I see you every day in the masjid. I know you. But I don't really recognize you from deep inside. Recognizing someone from deep inside is irfan. Family members, they recognize one another from deep inside. And it can only happen when I spend time. My son has got problems. My daughter has got problems. Have I allowed that platform for them to even speak to me? If I become such a father, such a mother, I don't want to hear about their problems, then they'll never come to me with the problems. But do you think they're going to keep inside? No, 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 no. They're going to go and tell somebody else about their problems. I would, as the father, rather know their problems than for a friend of theirs to know the problems. I, as a mother, whoever that is, sisters that are listening, you should know that you should become the source for them to communicate with you. But there's a balance here, my friends. The balance is what? Once you know the problem, you've got now a manner. This person has spoken about whatever problems they've got. You care for them, you love them. Now you've got to balance it. You've got to be very careful here. If you go to one extreme, where you confide in them so much, you say to them, that's it, just me and you will sort this problem out, I don't want to involve everyone else, and you know that others need to know about this, then you created another problem for yourself. But if you also become the other, which is they've confided in you and you go and straight away tell the husband, "Oh, did you hear? She's gone through this. Oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen." And you overreact to the situation, then they will never open to you again. There's a very delicate balance that you have to get from them, especially teenagers. My household, it is based on Islam. And my son is found. I know my son. I'm going to say to you something which most imams don't say to you on the minbar. But I'm going to say this to you because I feel for these brothers and sisters. He's maybe 18 or 19 or 20. And he's got himself in a relationship. And I'm hearing about this in my own society, that he's in a relationship. I can go to two extremes. I can either ignore it, or I can go to the other extreme of getting into it and sorting it out in the wrong way. Now look, if you have got communication, you can talk to them. If you really think that the girl is bad, fine. You talk to your son, and if you've made that platform, you can talk to him in a nice way and get him out of that if it's a bad relationship, if the girl's not good for him. But you need to understand the environment is very important. You can't tell your son, give her up, but son, carry on going to the same university. If you think that she's not right for your son, you talk to him and you communicate with him and you get him out of that relationship. But through what? Through hikmah, through wisdom. You know your son better. But I'm saying the other thing is that if your son is 20 years old and he's found a nice girl who has taqwa in her. I know families, the girl, she is a very nice girl. She's got taqwa. She's a very sweet girl. From her character she's sweet. People have given reference. Even myself, I know her as a student. Or I know her as a person who's been in my community. And then there's another boy that, they've met each other. Now they want to get together with each other. But the father says that she's not Pakistani. Father might say she's not Bengali. Father might say, no way. Mother might say, oh my God, on my deathbed. But the taqwa is there. Now you got to understand, if I base my life on taqwa, and this girl, okay, I'm not saying every case is like this, but if the girl is a deeni girl, she's a religious girl, she's got good manners, she's got good akhlaq, and people are giving good references about her, the community knows her. If that is the case, then she's a good girl for your family. She's a good girl for your society. And it's something that you should go forward with and consider it, rather than having your son commit zina, rather than your daughter committing zina. And some parents even know about this, but they don't want to even talk about it or know it. Brothers and sisters, the family life is what? Family life, when I base it upon Allah and His Messenger from the beginning, then all my children have to base it on Allah and His Messenger from the beginning, as they're growing up. And as they're going through life, they will continue until through their teens. If I showed them respect, then they will show me respect back. And the communication is to what? With the best of manners. When I see my son, I'm going to say Bunay. I'm going to say my beloved child. I'm going to have a sweet name for him. And that sweet name, keep it for them. Love is what? Love is from the heart. Kissing them on the cheeks. Making them, giving them a nice hug. Saying assalamu alaikum to them. Making them feel warm around you. If you come home and your children run to you because you've come home, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. But if you come home and your children don't want to see you, then la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There are fathers, there are mothers who go home, especially some fathers I know of, they will go home, their children don't want to, oh my, dad's here. Quick, dad's here. Then they start to get into a double life. They have a life behind your back. They have a life in front of your face. And kids will do that because they are human beings. And one day it will come to a bust where they'll either you will leave that house or they will leave that house. But that's not based on communication, relationship, good relationship. And the father actively goes out to see the children, to spend time with the children, to sit with the children. Subhanallah, this is what? This is the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, remember my friends, that he put Fatima radiallahu anha in a different house. Some parents are so controlling, they have to have all the siblings and all their wives and all their children and all the grandchildren in a 3-bedroom house. Now it's not going to work. Even if you've got a 4-bedroom house, it's not going to work. And then they start politics. One son wants to leave the house. What's he saying? He wants to leave the house. And the guy, come on, he's in a room, he's got 3 children inside that room, he can just about breathe inside there, he wants to leave. Come on, what did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam do? He planned ahead, he made Fatima radiallahu anha stay in a separate house with Sayyidina Ali. Both of them were living in his house from day number 1. Sayyidina Ali was in the care of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was a cousin, brother of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted to make both of them marry each other, so he married one another. And then he said, here's your accommodation, stay separate. You know, children, when they go through struggle, they become very nice, understanding, tough people. But if you pamper them all the time, they don't get that experience. A father who has so much love, after giving his daughter away, he goes, and after reading 2 rakats, he goes to visit his daughter. And to see Hasan and Hussein. Hasan and Hussein used to jump on him. And they start to ride him like a camel or a horsey. The Sahabi sees that and he says, Messenger of Allah, what great person they are riding. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam comments and remarks and he says, what great riders they are. He goes into sujood and then he doesn't get up for a long while. He said, I went into sujood and one of them, it was Hasan or Hussein. They came, they jumped on his back. You know, kids do that. They love it and they hold on to you. My kids do that. And every time they do that, I remember the hadith. And you stay in, and what did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, one of them came on my back, and if I had got up, he might have fallen down, so I stayed in sujood until he got off. He comes onto the mimbar, and Hasan and Hussein, they run inside the masjid, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gets off the mimbar, and he hugs both of them, and he says, your wealth and your children are a trial for you. They're a fitna for you, and he hugs them with a smile on his face. Hussein plays hide and seek with him. The love, the compassion he had for the children. Anas radiallahu anhu serves him from 8 years old till 18 years old. Kids, they normally go a bit wonky at 12, 13, 14, especially boys, because the hormones are growing inside them. Suddenly the guy's 2 feet taller. Suddenly his Adam's apple popped out. Right? Suddenly his voice has changed. He thinks, yeah, I'm a man now. Yeah? Anas radiallahu anhu, prime age, 8 till 18, he was with Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he says he never wanted to leave him. If you show that muhabba, that love, always to elders, to young ones, and they know that you're a loving person, they'll want to be with you. You know, we should be such people that after they've gone through the teenage life, they should know that whatever discipline you gave them, it was out of love. Brothers and sisters, you're all going to go home now. And I know all of you lot probably have got someone in the family or someone else in the family that you probably had some grudges, something else with them. But I'm going to do a quick exercise with you. I want all of you to close your eyes. You're walking down your street from the farthest end. And it's a nice hot summer day. And you're walking down and you can feel the nice breeze in your face and you're really happy. And you're walking down, you're going to come home, you're going to relax. And as you're coming towards your house, you can see an ambulance outside your house. There's a crowd, your neighbors are outside. And you can see a stretcher coming out of your house. And you see that that person in your family who you had grudges with is on that stretcher. Open your eyes. That's it. They passed away. They're gone. They're dead. Now, your beautiful day, your grudges, everything have gone. You're not thinking about, are you thinking about grudges right now? If it was your mother, if it was your sister, if it was someone who you had some grudge with, and that person passed away, that person dead, and you never ever got the chance to talk about your problems to them, never got the chance to get their forgiveness or to forgive them, would you feel happy right now, yes or no? Everyone's saying no. I want you to do one thing. Your sister, your brother, your sibling, your child, your parent, whoever they are, tomorrow they could be dead. Tonight they could be dead. Go home, my brothers, go home, my sisters. And go, doesn't matter what grudge you've got. I want you to go first, your own blood, your family member. I want you to go home straight away, say salam to them, and give them a hug. They're going to be surprised. What are you giving them a hug for? Sit down with them. And say the Imam just said that this could be the last moments, and it could be. Don't doubt it. We don't know when any one of us is going to die. Just try and make the best amends you can with them now. At least get your forgiveness. And try and make it work. That you're going to show love. Don't talk about them not showing you love. You show it first. Go and show your salam, go and show your smile, go and show that you love them. Then after weeks or months, tell me if they don't show it to you. Or if they don't, at least they'll feel bad inside. They'll feel bad that my brother, or my son, or my father, or my whatever, they've shown this love to me, and I can't have the courtesy to show love to them. Will you do this for me, brothers? 2 things I've asked you to do. Yes? One is you're going to go and talk to them. You don't want to wait till the day of judgment. And next thing is that you show your side of kindness and your side of love. Jazakumullahu khair. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.